Welcome to the deep dive. We're heading down to Brazil today, specifically São Paulo, to see how technology is shaping their municipal government.
It's amazing to think about how technology can totally transform a municipality. Like everything from how they operate internally to the services they provide to citizens.
Yeah, totally. And you know I'm all about these transformation stories. We've got Songrok's Information Technology Master Plan, or the PDTI, which lays out their tech plans from 2023 to 2027.
Oh, very interesting.
And to see how Songrok stacks up to other municipalities, we'll also be looking at their IEGM Joe VTI index rating, which basically evaluates how effective their IT is.
So it's kind of like we're getting a behind-the-scenes look at their government's tech engine.
Exactly. So let's start with a little history lesson. Did you know their IT department started with only 3 people back in 2007?
Wow, just 3 people.
Yep, 3 people for an entire municipality. That's wild.
That's a lot of hats to wear. It really puts into perspective how much they've grown.
I know, right?
By 2009, they had become a full-fledged department, and they really hit the ground running. They implemented key projects like outsourcing their printing and getting a file server up and running.
It's funny to think about how these things that we take for granted today, like having a central file server, probably felt so revolutionary back then.
Definitely a sign of things to come. But even with all that growth, their PDTI shows that it wasn't always smooth sailing. They faced challenges like limited staff and having all their equipment in a single location.
It makes you think about how those early decisions and those limitations might still be affecting their current IT landscape.
It's true, those early choices lay the groundwork for everything that follows.
For sure. Okay, so let's fast forward to today. Saunaro's PDTI, it's shaped by some pretty important principles: transparency, innovation, information security, digital transformation, and sustainability.
I mean, those principles really point towards a municipality that wants to be forward-thinking, using technology as a way to improve their relationship with citizens, not just as a tool.
And their goal is very ambitious. They want to be nationally recognized for their digital transformation. But to achieve that, they first have to look at where they are now.
Yeah, you have to be realistic about where you're starting from.
And their PDTI, it doesn't shy away from that. It really takes a hard look at their IT infrastructure. And there are definitely areas where they acknowledge they need to improve.
Like their Central de Serviços, which is their service desk.
Exactly. They get tons of requests. And even though they resolve more than half pretty quickly, a good chunk of them take more than a week to solve.
Wow, more than a week. That's a long time to wait for a tech issue to get resolved.
Yeah.
I wonder what leads to those bottlenecks. Is it a lack of staff, complex technical problems, or something else?
It makes you think about how those delays could impact other departments and ultimately the people of Sanrok, right?
It's all connected. Efficient technology is so essential for a municipality to function well.
For sure. And another area that needs attention is their data center. Their PDTI was very straightforward about it. It's vulnerable to security breaches, doesn't have proper fire suppression, and lacks adequate power backup. Kind of scary, right?
That's a huge red flag. It's risky to leave your most important digital assets vulnerable like that.
Right. And their data center, it's the heart of all their IT operations. Any kind of disruption there would have a huge impact on everything.
Oh yeah, everything from internal communication to public services would be affected.
It's like the foundation of their digital house is not as strong as it should be. Luckily, it looks like they are planning a new data center that will be more secure.
That's good to hear. It sounds like they're recognizing their weak spots and taking action to fix them.
They're definitely moving in the right direction. But another challenge they face is that they rely on a mix of different network technologies, some old, some new.
That must be a lot to manage.
It is, and the PDTI, it points out that they really need to upgrade their network switches, put in stronger security measures, and finish switching over to an all-IP phone system.
Yeah, that makes sense. If they want a truly digital government, those are essential steps to take.
Totally. Oh, and their servers. The report actually says that many of their servers are in critical condition and need to be replaced, like, right now.
Oh, wow. So they are running on borrowed time.
Pretty much.
Outdated servers can cause all sorts of problems, data loss, slowdowns, even system crashes. I wonder if those slow response times from the service desk that we were talking about, maybe it's because of those old servers.
Could be. It's like trying to run a marathon with old shoes. It's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, not a good recipe for success.
Yeah.
The PDTI recommends that they move to a more modern server setup, maybe even cloud computing.
That would be a big change for them. I mean, cloud computing could offer them more flexibility and even some cost savings, maybe even help with some of the security issues we were talking about.
It could, but there are also new risks to consider. Data security and relying on outside providers become big concerns when you move to the cloud.
Yeah, it's a trade-off. And speaking of things that need an upgrade, their report says that more than 40% of their computers are outdated and no longer under warranty.
Oh, that's a lot.
I know. Imagine trying to do your work on a computer that's always crashing or can't handle the latest software.
Yeah, it would be incredibly frustrating.
Super frustrating. The PDTI suggests they look into energy-efficient mini PCs as a possible solution.
It's good that they're thinking about sustainability alongside functionality.
I agree. It's not just about getting things done. It's about doing them in a way that's responsible and thinking about the future. But there's one more thing that the PDTI highlights, their reliance on third-party software. They're actually hoping to build their own in-house software development capabilities.
Wow, that's really ambitious. If they could pull it off, they could potentially save a lot of money in the long run and have more control over their tech.
Yeah, imagine being able to create software that fits their specific needs instead of having to make do with pre-made solutions that might not be perfect.
It would be a game changer, but building that kind of expertise takes time and money.
It does. And they've also got some work to do on data security. Their report was pretty honest about how vulnerable they are to cyber attacks because they haven't implemented enough security measures across all of their locations.
That's worrying in this day and age, especially for a government entity that handles so much sensitive data.
And they know it. The PDTI strongly recommends firewalls, antivirus software, and stricter security policies across the board.
It sounds like they're playing catch-up in terms of security, but at least they're taking it seriously.
And finally, there's data backup and recovery, the safety net that everyone needs.
The one that often gets overlooked.
Exactly. Their report says their current system needs modernization, which makes sense, especially with all the new servers and cloud computing plans they have.
They need a system that can keep pace with these changes, ensuring they can always recover their data no matter what happens.
They're facing a lot of challenges. Using a mix of old and new technology, security vulnerabilities, and the need to develop new capabilities, it's a lot to juggle.
It sounds like they have a good understanding of their strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah.
and they've set ambitious goals, but they have a lot of work ahead of them to achieve those goals.
And a great way to see how they're doing in that journey is to look at their IEGM GOVTI index rating, which we'll do in part 2. Remember, that rating tells us how effective their IT is compared to other municipalities. Sunroke received a B rating, which, it's not bad.
It's passing.
Yeah, it's passing, but there's definitely room for improvement.
Welcome back to our deep dive on technology in Sunroke's municipal government.
We've uncovered some really interesting stuff about their IT infrastructure and the hurdles they face.
Like their service desk struggles and those outdated servers.
But they've also got this roadmap for the future with the strategic projects outlined in their PDTI.
Right, those projects.
So let's unpack those and see how they're planning to overcome these challenges.
Sounds good.
First up is modernizing their service desk, the Central to Service. That's the lifeline for anyone who needs tech support.
Yeah.
And the PDTI says it needs a total revamp to become more efficient and responsive.
Makes sense. A slow service desk can really hurt productivity.
Oh, totally. Imagine employees waiting days just to get simple computer problems fixed.
Yeah, it would be chaos.
Total chaos. The PDTI doesn't get into specifics about how they'll modernize the service desk, but it's exciting to think about the different ways they could do it.
Oh yeah, like maybe a smarter ticketing system.
Right, one that automatically routes requests and tracks their progress.
That would be a huge help.
Huge. And they could even use AI-powered chatbots to answer those simple, repetitive questions.
Yeah, that would free up the human agents to focus on the more complex issues.
Exactly. It's all about using technology to streamline things and make everyone's lives easier, both the IT team and the people they support.
For sure. Speaking of essential upgrades, what about the new data center?
Oh, yeah. We talked about how their current one is a bit of a ticking time bomb.
Vulnerable to security breaches, no fire suppression, not enough power backup.
It's like driving a car with no brakes.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And the PDTI makes it clear that building a new secure data center is a top priority.
And it should be. It's the base of their entire digital infrastructure.
Without a safe and reliable data center, everything else falls apart.
It really does. Imagine a major cyber attack or a system failure. It could bring the entire municipality to a halt.
It would be devastating, a major setback for sure.
Definitely. But it seems like they're taking this really seriously. The PDTI talks about a much bigger space, robust security measures, basically everything you would expect in a state-of-the-art facility.
It's reassuring to see that they're investing in protecting their data and building a strong foundation for the future.
And it's not just about the physical building itself, right? They also have to think about the data. How are they backing it up? How fast can they restore it if something goes wrong?
Those are crucial questions. And speaking of things that need some attention, their network is another area for improvement.
It's true. It's a real mix of different technologies, some old, some new.
Almost like they're trying to build a high-speed train track using parts from a toy set and an old railroad.
That's a great way to put it. And the PDTI stresses the need to upgrade their network switches, strengthen their security, and finish the transition to a fully IP-based phone system.
All essential upgrades if they want to function as a modern and efficient municipality.
Absolutely. A reliable and secure network is like the backbone of a truly connected municipality.
It really is. Think about how frustrating it would be for residents if they couldn't access online services because the network kept crashing.
Or if sensitive data was compromised because of weak security, that would be a major breach of public trust.
Yeah, a huge issue.
Speaking of upgrades, we can't forget about those servers. The PDTI recommends replacing them with a more modern system, maybe even going with cloud computing.
Yeah, moving away from those on-site servers to the flexibility of the cloud, that's a big decision.
It is a big decision, definitely some risks to consider, like data security and reliance on those external providers, but the potential benefits are huge.
Oh yeah, cost savings, increased efficiency, and being able to easily scale their IT infrastructure as their needs grow.
And it shows they're thinking about the future and how to stay competitive in the digital age.
Definitely forward thinking. And what about their plan to develop their own in-house software capabilities?
Oh, yeah, right now they rely a lot on third-party software, which can be pricey and limiting.
It's kind of like trying to build your dream house,
Hmm.
but you can only use prefabricated parts. It's restricting.
Totally. If they had a team of skilled developers, they could create solutions that perfectly match their needs.
Yeah, imagine software tailored to each department, from public safety to social services. That would be amazing.
It would be a total game changer. But we've talked about this before. Building that expertise requires a lot of investment, both in terms of resources and finding the right people.
And keeping them, they'll need to attract talented developers, which can be tough, especially when municipalities are competing with private companies.
It's a real challenge, but the potential payoff is huge. It's about taking control of their digital destiny.
Exactly. And speaking of control, let's talk about data security.
That's right. The PDTI showed us they're vulnerable to cyber attacks because many locations lack basic security measures.
It's a reminder that security is crucial in today's world, especially for a government that handles so much sensitive data.
They definitely need to be proactive.
For sure. And the PDTI calls for firewalls, antivirus software, and strong security policies, a multi-layered approach.
But technology alone isn't enough, right? They also need to train their employees about cybersecurity best practices.
Oh yeah, human error is often the weakest link.
It's about creating a culture of security awareness where everyone understands the importance of protecting data.
And then there's data backup and recovery, the essential safety net for their digital world.
The thing that people often forget about until it's too late.
And the PDTI recommends modernizing their system, maybe even using cloud-based solutions.
That smart, cloud-based backup offers that scalability and reliability, knowing your data is safe no matter what.
It gives them peace of mind and ensures business continuity no matter what obstacles come their way.
Exactly. So they've got these big plans for the future, these ambitious goals.
But they're also facing some serious challenges. Outdated infrastructure, security vulnerabilities, the need to build new expertise. It's a balancing act for sure.
They need to manage the immediate needs while also setting themselves up for success as a modern, efficient, and resilient municipality.
It's a complex journey, but an interesting one to follow.
It really is. And to further understand where they stand, we need to look at that B rating they got from the IEGM JOVTI Index.
Right, that report card for their IT governance.
Exactly. What does it tell us about how they compare to other municipalities?
Well, that's the question we'll be tackling in Part 3. We'll break down their rating and look at their strengths and weaknesses compared to their peers.
It's like seeing how they're doing in the digital transformation classroom compared to the rest of the class. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've really gotten into the details of Soundrock's IT infrastructure, the challenges they face, and all those ambitious plans they have in place.
It's fascinating to see a municipality embracing technology in this way.
It is, but now let's zoom out a little and see how they compare to other municipalities. Remember that B rating they got from the IEGM JOBTI index?
Oh yeah, their IT governance report card.
Exactly. So let's unpack that a little bit. What does this B really tell us?
Well, it means they're doing okay, but there's definitely room for improvement. The index looks at different aspects of their IT governance, like how well they plan strategically, their infrastructure, security, even how they communicate with citizens about technology.
So it's not just about having the latest gadgets, it's about using technology strategically and effectively for the community.
Exactly. And this rating comes from the TCESP, the State Audit Court in São Paulo, so it's a pretty objective evaluation.
So it's a reliable source. So where does Sunrook excel? What are they doing well according to this rating?
Well, they probably scored well in areas like strategic planning.
Hmm.
Having a solid IT master plan like their PDTI is a big plus. It shows they're thinking ahead and setting clear goals.
That makes sense. They seem to have a good vision for where they want to go.
Exactly. And they're also actively working on upgrading their infrastructure. Remember all those projects we talked about? The new data center, the network upgrades, replacing those old servers.
Yeah, those are some big projects, but they seem committed to modernizing their systems.
And that probably helped their score. It shows they're taking the right steps to improve their IT capabilities.
So they're on the right track. But a B also means there are areas where they need to improve. What do you think the index flagged as their weaknesses?
I'd say data security was a big one. Remember how the PDTI mentioned they're playing catch-up in that area? They really need to strengthen their security measures and make sure their employees are aware of best practices.
Yeah, that definitely stood out.
And their network infrastructure probably needs some work too. Remember we talked about how they're using a mix of old and new technology?
It sounded like a challenge.
Exactly. A more modern network would improve their connectivity, reliability, and security, which are all essential for a municipality that wants to go digital.
And those outdated servers probably didn't help their score either.
No, definitely not.
Uh-huh.
Old hardware can cause performance issues, make them vulnerable to attacks, even lead to data loss. Replacing those is crucial, whether they go with a traditional setup or decide to move to the cloud.
So basically, the areas for improvement match what they've identified in their own PDTI. Now we're just getting confirmation from an external evaluation.
Exactly. That's the value of the IEGM GOVTI index. It gives them a way to compare themselves to other municipalities and see where they stand objectively.
It's a good reality check, helping them see how they're doing in the digital world. But what does this B rating really mean for the people of Sunrook?
It means there's potential for them to get even better services from their government.
Give me an example. How would improving their IT governance actually affect everyday life for the people there?
Well, if their network was more reliable, residents could access online services without all those frustrating delays and outages.
Makes sense.
And if their data was more secure, people wouldn't have to worry about their information being compromised, which builds trust in their government.
It's about making technology work for people, not against them.
Exactly. And a more efficient IT system could even save the municipality money in the long run, which means more resources for other essential services.
So it's a win-win for everyone. But how do they actually move from a B to an A? What would it take for Sunrook to really improve its ranking?
Well, they'd need to make some serious progress in the areas we've talked about, completing the new data center, implementing strong security measures, maybe even starting to develop some of their own software like they've mentioned.
So it's about putting those plans into action and getting results.
Exactly. And it's not all about the technology itself, it's about people. They need to invest in training their staff, encourage innovation, and make sure everyone understands how technology can help them do their jobs better and serve the community.
It's about seeing technology as a core part of how they operate.
Absolutely. And it's a journey that never really ends. Technology is always changing, and Sunrook will have to keep learning and adapting.
That's a great point. So we've covered a lot today. We've looked at Sunrook's IT infrastructure, the good and the bad, their plans, and even how they compare to other municipalities. It's been a great deep dive into a municipality that's trying to embrace technology.
It's clear they have a vision for the future, and I'm really interested to see how it all plays out. Will they achieve their goals? Will they reach that A rating? It'll be interesting to see.
Well, that's the exciting part, right? The future is always unfolding. And as Sunrook continues this journey, we'll be keeping an eye on how technology is shaping their community and empowering their citizens. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.